My name is Bruce Davis from Abundance Investment. A quick introduction about who we are. We are a crowdfunding platform, been around for about nearly 10 years, funded just over 100 million of projects, mainly in the working with companies. But in the last 4 years, we've been working on, starting with this project, Financing for Society, working on finding ways that local authorities can tap into methods of crowdfunding and direct investments from residents to fund a range of things under the heading of, I guess you would say, sort of transition towards net zero, and in particular greening their local energy systems. This was a project run in partnership with the University of Leeds, and I've put the link on there for. There is a toolkit there essentially for thinking this through, which sort of gives you a sort of bit more of a background rather than more than I can give in 5 minutes. But the essential thing that we found there was that local authorities need support in thinking through both the financing as well as the development of these projects. And secondly, we also needed to come up with new ways of financing these projects, because the conventional crowdfunding methods, although they worked well with Swindon Borough Council, which we did back in 2016, where we funded 10 megawatts of solar through setting up a company to run and develop those projects. We needed to find ways that would fit with the sort of different sources of funding that a local authority have, in particular to compete with the Public Works Loan Board funding. So just go on to the next slide. So we created something called the Community Municipal Investment. The first of those was launched by West Berkshire Council, and we've since seen one launched by Warrington. These are pilot bonds as part of this sort of follow-up to the Financing for Society work. They're raising £1 million each, supporting mainly solar PV, but also other projects as well, particularly on West Berks, to do with energy efficiency and broader environmental investments. We completed the West Berkshire bond just over, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We found that of that £1 million, about 22% had come directly from local investors, which, given the challenges of COVID and just getting out there and talking and communicating to people, we feel is a very good result for the first one. The bond itself was a 5-year bond offering an interest rate of 1.2%, so quite different to what people have seen before in terms of the crowdfunding, where you're going direct into companies. But here, the key thing here is that we've made, by structuring it so it's issued direct from the local authority, we've created something which is much lower risk, lower return, potentially a broader base, more accessible. Although we still maintain the principle we've always had at Abundance, that the minimum investment was £5. So that's been launched there. Warrington is now about 65% full to its million target. And we've got projects hopefully lined up with Leeds City Council as well to be the third pilot. Once we get clear on the policy around Public Works Loan Board and the different rates that the government is going to offer, because the principle here, I'm just going to the next slide, is, we can just see, is that this particular way of financing provides a lower cost of capital than PWRB. But at the same time, we maintain that sort of democratizing approach, which is very important, I think, when you're thinking about the transition for local people. The research that we did that was funded by Place-Based Climate Action Network found that majority of people see climate change as a major problem. Majority of people see their local authority as someone that really should be taking the lead on this, particularly locally. But very few, less than 10%, were aware of anything that their local authority had done in this regard, even those local authorities that you would think actually had quite a high profile in terms of their green projects. I think the other point here is this is a regulated investment, it's fully transferable, so it has all the benefits of that regulated sphere, but again, keeping it so that local people can get involved and smaller investors can get involved on the same terms as anybody else. On the issuer side, so the work that's needed by Treasury teams, we've tried to make this a simple and templated process. So these bonds should work all in the same way. The funding use can be varied, but the sort of process that you go through is very much mirrored on the process that you would go through for taking down finance from PWLB. But the key benefit here is that we're bringing that app capital in on the back of real engagement in this as a green and also in social investments by the council. So giving the council really a platform to communicate to local residents, which is really a positive message for the future about the climate emergency and what is really being done about it at a local level, and more importantly, how you can get involved immediately simply by investing in the projects that are available. And what we're now doing is working on projects to look at how that engagement can be extended over the life of the bond. Obviously, you're going to have payments being made to local residents and giving that information to it. So it's really here trying to say that here finance, a lot of discussion there has been about the sort of the structure of the finance and how it works and cost of capital. The thing I think that's been missing perhaps from that is the importance of engagement and getting local people to really kind of feel that they are part of the solution and are not simply problematized as consumers that emit carbon. So I think I'll finish there.